Welcome to the April 24th, 2025 webinar on nutrition and brain health by Marla Turnbull. Marla is a wonderful person. She's a partner of Parkinson Foundation, Western Pennsylvania for many years. She is very gracious by offering her time and expertise. She's a national board certified health and wellness coach, and you're in for a real treat today. What she will be discussing could be helpful for your Parkinson's and your health overall. Thank you, Marla, and please take it away.
Thank you, Casey, and thank
Welcome.
you, Parkinson's Foundation of Western Pennsylvania, and all you Parkinson warriors and caregivers out there. It's a real honor to be here with you and a privilege. So thank you so much. As Casey said, I'm a National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach, and I go all over Western PA and speak to support groups. So I see many of you already on here, and it's exciting to have you back to talk about nutrition and brain health. So as we think of our brain, why brain nutrition matters. Why can't we just quickly put something in our mouth and go about our day? Well, the reason is our brain is a well-oiled fuel machine, and we have to fuel it with healthy fuel. The brain uses 20 to 25% of our body's total energy. That's about a quarter of our body energy goes straight to the brain, and 2% of the brain is the total body weight. So a very small little organ, but it uses a tremendous amount of energy. So the food that we use, we're going to go into more specifics, but why it matters. Why is because it regulates our mood. So you've heard of serotonin, dopamine, of course. It's the mood regulator. Serotonin is the feel-good chemical in our brain. It helps fire those neurons, get them firing, energy production. So think of your brain with little ping pong balls in there, all the little neurons in your brain, and they have to stay active, and they get that energy from the food we eat. Dopamine is the hormone that helps regulate our movement, as you know. It's the motivation molecule. It helps us stay motivated in doing things. So when we're putting in bad fuel, it's not going to allow those neurons to fire. So that's why it matters. Focus, memory, cognition, performance. Our brain does a whole lot of things, and we don't give it the right credit for what it does. It does way more than we realize. So when we're focusing on a presentation or reading or a crossword puzzle, that's where we need that fuel. Memory, cognitive performance, long-term brain aging, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia. And many of you probably have heard that Parkinson's is the fastest growing dementia. Dementia is the umbrella term for all neurological diseases, and Parkinson's will surpass Alzheimer's by the next 20 to 30 years. That's my generation. So we need to do everything we can to support brain health. Oh, I might. Sorry, it's being a little slow. Go back to the other one. Sorry. Okay, so brain nourishing nutrients, omega-3s, which gives us our EPA, DHA. Oftentimes you hear that as fish oil. A really good fish oil, omega-3, will help lower the inflammation. It'll help the cell membranes fire. So often what we do is really enhance the omega-3, getting that into our foods, which I'll talk about on the next slide. Your B vitamins. Your B vitamins are for your brain. Think of B vitamins for brain, B. Oftentimes with any gut-related issues that often accompany neurological diseases such as Parkinson's, we have lowered B6, B9, and B12. So if those B vitamins are being lowered in the brain, our energy is impacted, our mood, and our memory. So we need to really focus on those vitamins specifically. Choline is a neurotransmitter synthesis. Acetylcholine, it helps synthesize those neurotransmitters, helping them move around, fire, really spark, if you will. Magnesium, there are all kinds of magnesium, but for the most part, magnesium complete is a calming supplement that supports neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity is when the neurons talk to each other. So we want those neurons to move, to fire, to talk to each other. That's how we get all the hormones, the serotonin, the dopamine production. Antioxidants protect against oxidative stress. So you hear me talk a lot about blueberries, have a lot of antioxidants. Those are very, very important because when we have high cortisol, high stress, that depletes the neurons, that makes them slow down. So we want to protect against that oxidative stress. Oxidation is the resting portion of the cell. We don't want them to rest. We want them to be energetic, healthy acting cells. Polyphenols and flavonoids enhance cognition. And we'll go into that. So the top brain foods, we're going to go into a little bit more detail. Fatty fish include, and I like the acronym to say SMASH, SMASH is the acronym, and that stands for salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring. They all have omega-3s for great memory and enhanced mood. So those are the fatty fish that have the most enhancing lowering of the inflammation, enhancement of the neurological system. Blueberries, antioxidants to protect those neurons, those cells. Eggs for choline, for memory. So when we eat breakfast, we often talk, when I talk to patients, we talk about their meals. So breakfast, we start with that. Oh, they always say, is this okay? Is that okay? Everything's okay. It's just a matter of, do you want to have your brain firing, functioning better, to nourish the cells? That's getting into the cell and giving it energy. That's mitochondria production. So when we talk about breakfast, we want to get hit on the protein as much as we can. We want to push aside the sugar. Sugar is very hard on the neurons. We want to lower the sugar as much as possible, especially in the morning, and get something more like eggs. We're going to go into that a little bit more with a sample menu. Eggs are going to support with choline for our memory. After you've slept all night, you awaken, you've been through a fasted state. So we want to add the water, 8 ounces of water first thing in the morning. Adding some lemon in there would be good, apple cider vinegar, to really start to wake up the system. And then the first thing we put in our body after water will be taken into the cell the quickest after a fast, whether you fast, for 3 days or you fast overnight. It doesn't matter. What you put in your body next is most important. So we want those eggs, those high protein things to nourish the brain. Leafy greens contain folate, fiber, and B vitamins. Critical, critical. That is my number one, Nutrition 101. When we talk, I say, let's get a smoothie in your diet, adding some leafy greens, some fiber and chia seeds, flax seeds, and some blueberries. We put that all in a smoothie, break it all down because it's less breakdown your digestion has to do. put it into our body. It's taken up very quickly into the cells, and we hyper nourish the brain by doing that. We're getting in a lot more vitamins and nutrients through a smoothie than we can by eating. Now, you can still eat and you get the nutrients, but you're hyper nourishing your body. So Nutrition 101, when we sit down and talk, we add that smoothie a day, shake a day, and we see 50% improvement in neurocognition just by doing the smoothie. Adding some walnuts. Walnuts are brain shaped, they're a healthy fat. We want to put the fat back into the brain as much as we can. As we age, the fat goes way down. Oftentimes we're on medications that can suppress the cholesterol, the fat. We want to make sure we're doing everything we can by getting healthy fats back into the brain. Healthy fats will include extra virgin olive oil, avocados, our salmon, our fatty fish, the smash fish. It will also include nuts and seeds. Walnuts are great because they're brain shaped. Almonds are another one. Flaxseed, chia seeds are really great in fiber and also extra fat for the brain. Dark chocolate, people often say, can I have my chocolate? Yes, you can. Does it have sugar? Yes, it does, but you're not eating a whole candy bar. You're eating just a little piece. Dark chocolate has flavonoids and boosts the mood. That dopamine production gets us happy when we have our dark chocolate. So green tea has L-theanine for calmness and focus. Avocados, extra virgin olive oil are healthy fats for blood flow and support. And supporting the brain is so, so critical as we age. Things just don't work the same. Everything gets less. So anything we can do to support it is key. So foods to avoid or limit. Now, I tell you, especially with Easter just happened, and we're heading into summertime where we're having birthday parties, we're having weddings. I have 3 weddings this summer. We have graduations, we have lots of events. Now, we can't get rid of all of these foods, but I tell you, if you can focus on the 80-20 rule, 80% of your food should be healthy and good for you, brain supporting, and 20% we can, give a little bit. All of my appointments this week, they came in with their head, between their legs saying, are you going to yell at me for having cake and cookies and ice cream over Easter? And no, of course not. I'm not going to ever yell at you, for one, but also two, I know that that's not your everyday meal. You're not incorporating that every day. It's just on special occasions. It's that 20% of all the food that you eat. And that's okay. Absolutely okay. And then you're going to get back on track this week, and we're going to just really, really hyper nourish your brain again with the foods that are most nutritious. So some of the things, refined carbs and sugars, they create brain fog and inflammation. So when I hear carbs and sugars, I immediately think of prediabetes, which 90% of us don't even know we have prediabetes, and type 1, type 2 diabetes. So the first thing we do as we start to lower those sugars and carbs, we really, really focus on what that looks like, adding in more fiber, more protein, and really getting rid of those things because they raise our insulin. As we eat, the glucose comes into the body. It notifies the pancreas to make the insulin. The insulin comes out, starts to get the sugar into the cell. There might be too much insulin, there might be too much sugar, might not happen. So then that's where the brain fog and the inflammation come. So think about after Thanksgiving and you have your meal. a lot of carbs at Thanksgiving, and you sit down and you just want to take a nap. Well, that's exactly what's happening. It's creating the brain fog and inflammation. And as we start to push those carbs to after a meal, not through snacking, we can start to eliminate some of those things. And I talk about that in my diabetes talk as well. We can't get away from them, so let's keep them till after the meal. So carbs should be eaten after you have your protein, your fiber, and your healthy fats. Save the carbs for the next section and then go to your sugars for your dessert. And that's how we can balance and keep our insulin and glucose in that glycemic index, which is right in the middle. We don't want spiking. We don't want the blood sugar to go way down. We want to keep it right in the middle. So order counts is what I'm saying. Again, it's protein, fiber, which is your fruits and vegetables, your starches, your carbs, and then your sugars. So trans fats and seed oils reduce brain-derived neurotrophic factor, the BDNF. So we've heard a lot about seed oils, our sunflower oil, our vegetable oil, canola oil, any seed oil that isn't extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. I'll let you have those too. And extra virgin olive oil is very, very good at nourishing those neurons and getting that healthy fat back into the brain. Excess alcohol. People ask me all the time, can I have alcohol, even if it's just one glass of wine after dinner? I say, well, typically, yes. The recommendation is yes, you can have a glass after dinner. But I'll tell you that it really damages the neurons and you have memory loss. So, for instance, I'll tell you a couple weeks ago, I was at a conference and we went on one of those boats that go out into the river. This was in Florida. Wasn't the Gateway Clipper, but it was in Florida. Same thing as the Gateway Clipper if you're from Pittsburgh. And right away, as soon as you entered, they gave you a glass with some alcohol in it and some fruity drink. And I took it thinking, I don't drink at all, hardly at all. And so when I took it, I drank it. The lady behind me in line getting my food was asking me questions, and my neurons were having a hard time firing. My memory was bad. I couldn't remember. She was asking me questions. I felt so bad talking to her. And it just reminded me that, wow, this is what happens when I drink one glass of alcohol in excess of what I'm used to. It just really, really slows down those neurons. They weren't firing, and I was getting major memory loss, recalling events. Um, Another category is highly processed foods with low nutrient density. So highly processed foods, if you look at the picture there, is anything that doesn't come from nature. So there are French fries. Those are potatoes. They come from nature, but how is it processed? It's highly processed in either an air fryer or a seed oil, fried, not in the content that we need it to be in, the plant, straight off the vine. And that's how you can think of it. Now, the corn chips, you can say, well, those are made of corn, but they're highly processed. And a lot of sugar in that picture. Now, I did an event called Rethink Your Drink, and I'll tell you that that glass of pop has 45 grams of sugar, and we should not have that much. We should have women should have 6 teaspoons of sugar. Men can go up to as high as 9 teaspoons, and that's about 20 to 25 grams of sugar per day. And you're doubling that when you have one drink of soda. And let's do some brain boosting habits. So when you wake up in the morning, I talked about getting your water, hydrating your body. getting those neurons firing, regulating the body temperature, supporting your digestion, and maintaining healthy skin. So our body is mostly water, and if we're dehydrated, everything is at risk, especially our brain. So staying hydrated is key. Oftentimes when we're having trouble recalling things or remembering things, it might be because we're dehydrated. So try drinking more water, and waiting a little bit to see if that helps. Now, adding some like electrolytes in your glass or just some Celtic sea salt in your glass of water will help absorb the water into the cell. So we can drink a glass of water and 30 minutes later be in the bathroom, eliminating all of it. So it's not really getting into the cell. So I really want you to think about how to get that water into the cell. Adding electrolytes or a pinch of Celtic sea salt will really go a long way with that. Exercise will increase the BDNF, which is the brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It promotes the growth of neurons. Exercise is so key for everything. It's involved in every aspect of brain function, from learning, memory, and mood regulation. And those that have heard me before, you know that I really encourage you to exercise, because that's the way we produce natural dopamine. Natural dopamine is key, especially with Parkinson's, so that we don't have to increase the medications. We don't have to get on more medications more times during the day. We can do that just by exercising. Going outside and walking is really, really restorative. Um, Getting restorative sleep. Now, people say, I sleep and then I wake up and then I go back to sleep, but I go back right away. Well, we want to make sure that you're waking up feeling refreshed. You don't feel like you want to lay in bed for an extra hour just trying to get up the energy to wake up. We want you to wake up, jump out of bed, and get moving. So, with restorative sleep, it works on the lymphatic system in the brain. That system clears out metabolic waste products and toxins that accumulate during the day. So when we get into REM sleep, that is the best way to clear out those toxins from the brain. So if we don't clear them out because we're not sleeping well, then they accumulate into the amyloid plaquing and the proteins in there in the brain. So we really do need to clean them out as much as possible. And if you need help getting to sleep, staying asleep, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. Some things we can implement naturally to get you there. Also, brain boosting habit number 4 is mindfulness, prayer, and gratitude. And I am so encouraging with this one, because this resets the brain on both sides of the hemisphere. We draw a line down the middle of the brain. We want to activate both sides. We want them firing and crossing that center line. And what does that is breath work, closing your eyes and breathing 4 counts in, holding for 4, and 4 counts out. Mindfulness, being mindful where you are, hearing the sounds around you, closing your eyes and quieting your central nervous system. Prayer, being thankful for all that we have, praying and giving gratitude, naming 3 things before you jump out of bed that you're grateful for and that you get to do today as a result. I see a lot of patients with high cortisol, high dysregulated nervous systems. And I'll tell you, the high cortisol does impact our memory, because we have the amygdala. The amygdala is that center in the brain right here in the middle, and it's that fight or flight. So when it's activated, we feel like everything bad is going to happen today. Nothing good is going to come out of it. So the mindfulness prayer and gratitude will help regulate the amygdala, reducing the activity and leading to a more controlled response and less stress triggers. Um, so calming the brain is so, so key. And I find that a lot, not just with Parkinson's patients. It's every day people are highly stressed. In fact, coming out of COVID, it was over the top stress, high cortisol, and we had to really, really focus on regulating the nervous system before we could actually go into some of these changing in the eating habits because our body was so fragile from the cortisol and the stress. So regulating that is so key. So some quick brain hacks that I want to leave with you is eat the rainbow. You say, why? I have all these fruits, all these vegetables. Why do I want to eat beets? I don't like beets. I don't like these really cruciferous vegetables, the cauliflower, the broccoli, the Brussels sprouts. Well, I'll tell you, if you eat the rainbow, you get more of a variety of nutrients into your body, which is so key. God gave us the rainbow to focus on because He knew that was easy for us. We could see each color and we get a little bit each day. So there's a wide range of nutrients and healthy benefits in these. That's why I think we have our seasons, because our seasons, if we eat in season, we're going to be good. Now, winter is a little tricky. We have to maybe go to the frozen section and get our fruits and vegetables. But again, look at getting carrots in, that's orange, getting your greens in, leafy greens, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, broccoli, getting our yellow vegetables like a yellow um, uh, pepper, red pepper, green pepper. Um, just concentrate on that every day as much as we can. Adding herbs. Oftentimes, fruits and vegetables, especially vegetables, aren't that tasty. So adding herbs to them will make them tasty, but it'll also lower inflammation. Turmeric, ginger, rosemary are really, really good. Garlic. Garlic is very anti-inflammatory and boosts the immune system. So we want to be as healthy as we can, especially getting through cold and flu season and really regulating that immune system. So I tell my clients we really need to work on our immune system beginning in like August, September, because we want to be at full strength, armor strength, warrior strength by November, December, January, February, when flu starts to break out. As we do that, we're going to lower inflammation. Inflammation is key to every single disease that we see in the body. And as we begin to lower that inflammation for the brain, it's also going to be great for our heart, our joints, our mobility. I would tell you not to skip meals because blood sugar crashes. That's that deep dive it goes into. And then when that happens, the blood sugar crashes, so does the brain. We want to keep this brain working optimally all day because we're doing stuff. You guys are active, you're warriors, you're hitting the ground running. You have a to-do list that's better than, even bigger than mine. So we want to keep that brain firing. And when you say, I don't eat 3 meals a day, well, have a snack, a really good, healthy protein, high fat snack in there. Chew slowly because digestion begins in the mouth. And like I said, the reason for the smoothies is because it's already broken down. It's already we can bypass the mouth, so to speak, and go right into our digestive tract. But if we don't have our smoothies, make sure you're chewing slowly. Chew for about 2 minutes before you swallow, and that'll be a good regulator of getting that into the digestive system and having it broken down. It doesn't have to work as hard. Okay, so here's a sample brain healthy meal plan. So we talked a little bit about breakfast, so we can add some eggs in there, add in some greens like spinach, some healthy fat like avocado. You can put some Celtic sea salt, pink Himalayan salt, pepper on the eggs, maybe some basil if you grow basil in the next couple of months. That's really, really key. And we can be creative, even making an omelet with all those things in there, some onions, some peppers, some greens, will go a long way. And you notice when you have a breakfast like this, scrambled eggs with some spinach and avocado, you're going to feel fuller longer. So say if you eat your breakfast and then you're not hungry until 2 p.m. and then that's more of a dinner for you, you've really, really stretched that through the day. Less calories, but really high nutrient dense foods that will help our brain and body continue through the day. So a good snack would be some walnuts and blueberries. So pairing up whatever snack you have, like if you have an apple, pair it with a healthy fat or a protein. So blueberries with some walnuts. I would say an apple with some nut butter or peanut butter. Celery with nut butter, peanut butter. Some hummus and carrots and celery. Cucumbers. So hummus is really, really great for high in protein and some healthy fats in there. A lot of fiber too. Um, and we always need to really, really be focused on getting the fiber, which is you eat a whole food, plant-based, nutrient-dense diet, you will get the fiber in. Lunch could mean grilled salmon salad with avocado oil, some balsamic vinegar to help with the digestion. You notice we don't, back in the day, think back when you were young or your grandparents, they always had something fermented, like sauerkraut or balsamic vinegar. Vinegar was always in the diet, every single meal. We don't do that anymore. So getting in the balsamic vinegar, olive oil will be really, really key. Dinner can include a bowl of quinoa with some greens, pumpkin seeds, and turmeric spiced veggies. Um, you can put in there some lean protein, salmon or some lean chicken. Uh, Pork is a nice lean protein as well. Turkey, tuna, um, any of those smashed fish, some sardines if you like them. I haven't really gone to the sardine category yet, but I think I'll get there soon because they are packed full of nutrients. Um, Optional things would be green tea, dark chocolate, and just 1 or 2 squares. Not a whole lot. Don't eat the whole Easter basket. Some quality supplements. Oftentimes we're not getting enough, or our digestion is too dysregulated that it can't absorb the nutrients. So we have to do some supplementing, but always consult with a professional before you supplement, your doctor, your nurse practitioner, physician's assistant, before adding in. So we're finding that CoQ10 is essential for the electron transport chain. It's a crucial part of cellular energy production called ATP, and that's within the mitochondria of the cell. So we also have those cells that have a mitochondria in the brain. So we never want to cut off CoQ10 ever. We always want to hypernourish the brain with it because that's going to give us the energy we need. So there was a study by PubMed and they talked about statins. And if you're on a statin, absolutely add CoQ10. That was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Today, you pull up the study with statins, they dropped out that addition of CoQ10. So we need to get that back into our diet. So CoQ10 with Parkinson's, you can have up to 1,200 milligrams. Now, I wouldn't tell you to start there. I would tell you to start with a good CoQ10 that is bioavailable, that can be broken down, and start out with 600 milligrams of CoQ10 because we want that to be enough to cross over the blood-brain barrier and help those electrons in those neurons start to fire. I can help if you have questions on the CoQ10. I can help you with dosing and what's best for you. We talked again about the omega-3, the essential fatty acids that play a crucial role in the body's health, particularly for heart and brain function. So what's good for the heart is good for the brain. But if we're adding in a statin, that kind of cuts the CoQ10 off. It cuts the cholesterol to the brain. The brain, the myelin sheath in the brain is 100% cholesterol. The inside of the brain is 60% cholesterol. So we want to make sure the cholesterol is high enough that it can get into the brain. And if it is not, we can supplement with the omega-3 and the CoQ10 to get it into the brain so it can work optimally. So B complexes are B vitamins for the brain. We want to make sure they're methylated. Oftentimes they're not methylated when you buy them over the counter. Methylation is when the body can break down the supplement. So we want our body to be able to break it down, methylate it into the body. So it will say on there methyl B12 on the bottle. We want to make sure we're taking the methylated forms because there is a genetic component called the MTHFR genetic component that 50% of us have that we are really poor methylators. So what that means is if you have a car, you're not going to put oil in the car, you're going to put gas. The oil is broken down into gas. That's what the methylation does. When we have vitamins that are methylated, it's already broken down into a form that your body can absorb and work with. Magnesium is always wonderful. There's a lot of magnesium. So magnesium glycinate is excellent for sleep. Taking that 300 to 400 milligrams before bedtime. Magnesium citrate is more for the bowels, get our bowels moving. And it's usually called L-threonate. It enhances brain function, bioavailability, and crosses the blood-brain barrier. That's a mouthful. So we want to make sure everyone is deficient in magnesium. We want to make sure you get the magnesium into your diet so that cellular function is optimized. So lion's mane, which is a mushroom, it's a nootropic mushroom. It improves cognitive function, enhances memory, and supports nerve recovery. Excellent, excellent. You can get it in a tincture form or a capsule. Excellent for improving cognition. Vitamin D3 plus K2. It works on the brain and the immune system. Now you say, why do I need K2? K2 helps absorption of D3 into the bones. So the absorption of calcium and vitamin K2 directs calcium into the bones instead of the joints and arteries. So if you take just D3, it's going to go into your joints, your arteries. We want the K2 so it helps with the bones. So as we age, we stop making bone, but the osteoclasts continue to eat away at the bone, especially women. And if you're thin and frail, small boned, we can't afford to lose any more bone. And as we age, balance becomes a problem, falls become a problem, and breakage. So when we break bones, we want them to heal fast, don't we? So adding the D3K2 is optimal for that. Selenium helps to reduce oxidative stress and lowers the free radicals. The free radicals are the things we don't want in there. It's due to high cortisol stress. We want to lower that, and that's what selenium does. And selenium is eating 6 Brazil nuts a day. very easy. Eat them and be done. You get your daily allotted amount of selenium. Okay, so a summary and a call to action. So when we work together, it's very small changes. I find that as we habit stack, we're doing a habit, and when we master that, we put on something else and we stack it. There's a book called Habit Stacking. We're making very small changes because small changes become habits and then it becomes routine. And we see big shifts when we do this. So when we work together, we start for 3 months, we lay a foundation, just like we're building a house. We're laying that foundation and we're getting all the foundation. Because if that foundation is rocky, our house is going to fall in. It's going to blow over when the hurricane comes or the storm. We want that foundation to be nice and strong. Then after that, usually takes about 3 months, we go to the first floor and we add on a little bit more, and then the second floor. And we're building our house. Our body's a house. Our body can heal itself if given the right nutrients. That's how God made us. In order to heal, we have everything we need. We just need to give it the right nutrients. We want to focus on what we can add versus take away. And we want to focus on our eating. We want to eat smart, think sharp, would be my little jingle I give you: eat smart, think sharp. Because again, what is good for the brain is good for the stomach, the heart, every portion of our body. And people are always coming to me with their head between their legs and saying, "Oh, are you going to yell at me?" No, no, we're not going to yell at you. We're not going to take much away. We're just going to refine it a little bit so that you can be that fuel that operates your machine and you can run smoothly, run more optimally. And then your brain is exactly what you feed it. So, what you're putting into your body, if you want to feed it something that is not neuroprotective or not enhancing the neurons, not helping them fire, that would be something that we do for a short time, and then we go back to the optimal ingredients, nutrients to feed it so it does work optimally. And it's so key whether we have a neurological condition like Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's, or we're aging. Aging, I'm finding, is we need to really, really support the body, every aspect, because it's not the same as when we were in our 20s, but we have to make the most of it and give ourselves a better quality of life as we go into the future. And then, okay, any questions? I appreciate you listening and being a part of this presentation, and Casey asking me to be here with you today, but I do want to give you time to ask any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Marla. It looks like there's a few questions in the chat. I can read those to you first, and then we'll continue from there.
Okay, that sounds great.
Don't we have to be careful of protein in relation to Cinemet, carbidopa levodopa?
So I would tell you, whatever you eat an hour before or an hour after your medication. So your medication is what we're looking for. So as you eat protein, it's going to take a little bit longer to digest, yes. But when we did our Parkinson's pilot study, we went by the rule: don't eat an hour before or after your meal. We added some enzymes, digestive enzymes like apple cider vinegar. We utilized lemon, balsamic vinegar to help break down the protein in a timely manner. And we did not have any issues with the protein. Again, we're still giving the hour before and after the medication to work, adding in those digestive enzymes, and then we did not have the protein issues with the carbidopa levodopa.
So Marla, you're saying to really not eat when you're taking your medication, no matter if it's protein, carbohydrates. etc.
Exactly, exactly. Now,
Mhm.
if you get nauseous by taking the medication on an empty stomach, you can have crackers, a couple crackers, that's fine. Absolutely. But your big heavy meals, just don't eat an hour before or an hour after taking the medication.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And speaking of crackers, rarely do we have processed foods, but occasionally purchase an organic gluten-free cracker, but it contains organic sunflower oil.
Exactly,
Is that a good
exactly.
choice? Even
So there are crackers that have flaxseed, chia seeds in them, more
Mhm.
avocado oil or extra virgin olive oil. I would look for those crackers. Now, they're getting a little easier to find on the shelf because everybody's kind of caught on to this seed oil thing. And I have found them in Aldi. You can have cassava flour, but just look at the oil and make sure it's not a seed oil, but it is an avocado or extra virgin olive oil.
And Marla, how about coconut oil?
Coconut oil is excellent. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that either,
Mhm.
but coconut is wonderful. That's a great fat to add in to your meals. So whether it's coconut or coconut oil, coconut milk, coconut water, wherever you can get the coconut is really excellent for nourishing the brain.
And it has that higher heat index than olive oil.
It does. So I would tell you to use your extra virgin olive oil in like your salad dressings when you make your salad dressings, and then save the avocado and coconut oil for when you're cooking.
Thank you. What do you eat if you don't like eggs or fish? Mhm.
So your protein, um, your vegetables have a lot of protein. You can have chicken, you can have turkey. Um, there's a lot of protein in broccoli, Brussels sprouts. I know you probably didn't want to hear that. But also there are lentils as well. So black beans, pinto beans, any kind of beans, lentils, quinoa. Um, in that family, there's fiber and protein. There's chickpeas as well. That would be the hummus, what hummus is made out of.
And that goes into the beans question. What about beans for fiber?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so much to encompass here that I'm so glad that you guys are bringing these excellent questions. It seems like you've done your research. So beans are really, really good. Now, if you have trouble after you have something with high fiber like that, like, you know, you're bloated, constipated, or burping, belching, I would add in, say, some apple cider vinegar in 8 ounces of water and drink that before 10 minutes before you eat. And that will help break it down because that has the acid in it to help break down the food. Now, if you already have that and you're saying, I can't have acid, switch to lemon because lemon is very neutralizing. So squeeze a half a lemon and 8 ounces of water and drink that. And that will really, really help. Or putting some balsamic vinegar on your beans. Now, that's not 10 minutes before, but that helps to break down the beans, the fiber.
Thank you. Are they getting closer to developing a medication you can take with food?
I don't
Mhm.
know anything much about the
Yeah.
medications. I do know they're working on now, and Casey, you probably can chime in with this, the one that bypasses the digestive
Mhm.
system. And it's, I don't know, is it, and it's um, done through like a disc, like a diabetic patient would
Yes.
insert their insulin. You'd wear a
Mhm.
disc like that, and it
It
would
is
go
like an
right in.
insulin pump. Yes, Vialev. So it's carbidopa levodopa that's administered continuously for 24 hours. And yes, it bypasses the gut. And we'll be having presentations about that particular delivery system at support
Mhm.
groups and
Yes,
possibly a
yes.
webinar also.
Yeah, and that sounds very exciting to me. Yeah, because oftentimes, with Parkinson's, you do have that digestive issue. with breaking down the foods, the digestion, the constipation, the diarrhea. So that's wonderful. Sounds very promising.
Mhm. And Marla, if someone would like to meet with you, ask you some questions, can they contact you directly?
Absolutely. So you have my phone number. Leave a message. Oftentimes people call and I'm in the middle of something. They
Mm.
don't leave a message. So leave a message and I'll definitely get back to you. You can email me. That's my cell phone. So you can text me if, that's easier for you. Absolutely. And I am located in the Fox Chapel area, but it's Indiana Township, across from Dorseyville Middle School. But I also do home visits as well. So I have a couple people, I do go to their homes and we meet. We can meet by phone, by Zoom, whatever is easiest for you.
What other questions do you have?
I'm going to stop sharing. You
Thank you.
guys have been amazing,
Mm.
amazing audience.
This is a very well-educated group.
I know, I love that.
And I like your approach, making those small steps. That's really where change
Mhm.
happens.
It's really, really key. Absolutely. It takes a long time to break this down. You're changing a lifestyle of 60, 70 years, and it doesn't happen overnight. And what I really like to do when I circle around to the support groups is take on clients that have been newly diagnosed with Parkinson's, because to me, that's one, the scariest. Think back when, if you have Parkinson's, how you took that news. It's devastating, high anxiety. How do I change my diet? How do I change my eating? How will I fit this all in? It's the overwhelm is up here. So we have to break that down slowly for them. I met with a lady this week and newly diagnosed, and we spent 2 hours on the phone just talking about what things to look for coming up and how to break it all down to make it manageable and easy, taking those small little steps. That's so important. Again, we're building that foundation, and if that foundation isn't strong, then you're not going to succeed. And I'm going to feel really bad that I didn't help you. So,
I
any
have a, I have a,
questions?
I have a
Go ahead,
question.
Steve.
I have a question about the high energy drinks.
So, are you talking about
Ensure
okay, so
that
Boost
type
and
of,
Shore? So
yes.
I often get that question, and I'll tell you on my website, I have a testimony of a gentleman who went through surgery. He had all kinds of things happen to him. He wouldn't have been alive. He shouldn't have been alive. But when he came to me in any event, he couldn't eat food. He was only drinking Ensure. He had 9 cases of Ensure a month, and he had no energy. He was very lethargic. He wasn't exercising. He was just surviving, if you can imagine, just surviving. So I said, well, let's do this. Let's really start to look at Boost and Ensure. They have their purpose, but I have something that will really give you more energy into the cell to optimize your life and give you health back. So he began to wean off of the Boost, the Ensure, and increase his smoothies. Now, he lived alone. He didn't want to make smoothies, so we would go down to Clean Juice in East Liberty, and they would make him his juice for the next 3 days. He'd go every 3 days and make the juice. And I told him, put in ginger, turmeric, pepper, get all those anti-inflammatories in your leafy greens. He began to drink those 3 a day because he couldn't eat food, and weaned off the Ensure. In 2 months, he was able to walk around Highland Park for 3 miles. He no longer took a nap. And I said to him, Larry, what's your goal now? Like, you're doing so well. He said, I want to travel. I've never been able to travel because I was fearful that I would aspirate. So I said, okay. And he didn't even say eat food. That wasn't even a goal for him. But within 3 months, he was able to eat food and keep it down. Now, mind you, he had been 12 years without anything in his stomach because he had the trach, and feeding bag, the whole thing. So he was able to eat food, and he texted me a picture of him. And I said, where are you? I see palm trees. He said, I took a flight to Florida to see my friend. And he had his little, smoothie drink in his hand. And I said, oh my, that's amazing. In 3 months, we were able to turn him around because we got him the proper nutrition. And then in 4 months, he sent me another picture. He was Irish and he wanted to go to Ireland.
Mhm.
So he made it to Ireland. He was ecstatic. His quality of life went off the charts because just getting the proper nutrition into those cells, into the mitochondria, and really, really balancing that. So I tell you, if we can, and I'll work with you, whatever it looks like, we will get it in and give you that quality of life as well. Um, so Ensure Boost Pure Protein is another one that you can get usually at Sam's Club or Costco. Pure Protein, all of those drinks have a lot of artificial ingredients in them that go against neuroprotection. So let's see what we can do about getting the nutrients in through something other than a drink that has all these fillers in it. Does that make sense, Steve?
Yeah, I have to eat a lot of protein drinks to get rid of them.
You have to drink a lot of protein drinks
Yeah, to get rid of them.
to get rid of them.
Oh, to make your transition?
Yeah,
Well,
yes.
Well,
well,
Marla, do you mind putting your slide on again with your contact information?
sure.
Because just to give an opportunity for folks to document your information, contact information again.
Sure. So, Steve, I would tell you, I didn't tell Larry to throw them out, but I did tell him to wean off of them. So, whatever that looks like, if you can do a smoothie once a day or drink a high nutritious drink, because honestly, Larry did more juicing and he did a smoothie. But for you, you need the fiber. So that's why the smoothies are really important. But you could do one smoothie a day and then do 1 or 2 protein drinks until you get rid of them. Now, it's going to take you a little bit longer to jump that hurdle and do what Larry did because we're still putting in those ingredients that are not so optimal in the protein drinks, but you will see a difference. It might take you a little bit longer to get to Ireland, but we will see a difference and I'll begin to work with you and what that looks like. Yeah, and there are some really easy protein drinks we can make that don't have all the additives in them. And yeah, I can absolutely share that with you.
In terms of smoothies, and then we'll get back to the question prior, there's one other question. What liquids are recommended?
So you can do plain water, make sure it's a good quality water. Um, Tap water doesn't seem to, seems to have a little bit more in there than we wish. So getting some filtered water, um, clean water. And then you can add half water, half coconut milk, almond milk. You can do all milk, all of it milk if you want. You can do, now, if you're doing coconut milk, that's a little thick. So you probably don't want to do 100% coconut milk, but you can do half coconut water, half coconut milk in there. You can change it up, whatever liquid is best for you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And staying away from the dairy.
Yes, yes, yes. because dairy is inflammatory. And we really want to lower that inflammation. So anti-inflammatory foods are what we want to focus on. And that we can do that with the plant-based milks. We have, now people say, well, what about raw milk? What about milk? Well, the cows are usually injected with hormones and antibiotics, and they've been very inflammatory. So we want to stay away from that because, again, what happens in the gut happens in the brain. If there's inflammation in the digestive system, there's inflammation in the brain.
Thank you, Marla. And the last question, what about turmeric supplements as anti-inflammatory? Any recommendations? Oh, we have two more. Any recommendations on a particular type of supplement, or buy
So
turmeric and
you
prepare it?
So you really want to make sure where your supplements are coming from and make sure they're high quality and they've been tested and they have been patented. So I deal with a company called Nutritional Frontiers because they are local. They're based in Bridgeville, Pennsylvania, and they make on-site all their supplements, and they have patents, and they have been third-party tested to that everything that's in there is what they say that's in there. There are no fillers. So I would be, really, really looking at the brand. And if you want to run some brands by me, I'd be happy to do that or make some suggestions. I use them 90% of the time. The other 10%, I use a platform called FullScript, which I know it's like Amazon, but it's not Amazon. Amazon has a lot of supplements, but we don't know the middleman that's involved in the supplement. So what I'm hearing is some of the supplements, they come from this middleman into Amazon, but they've been tampered with. So the nutrients have been taken out and replaced with something else. So you could get turmeric on Amazon and it might be okay, but also there's that fear of the capsules being opened, half of it dumped out and added with sawdust or something like that. So you really want to know where your supplements are coming from and who's handling them.
Thank you. And Nutritional Frontiers will be at our conference on May
Yes,
3rd.
yes,
There's
they will be.
there's one last question. What are your thoughts on the new probiotic pop drinks?
Well, Poppy, I think you're
Yeah.
referring to, which my grandchildren love, but my grandchildren that don't have sugar, they think it's too sweet. So for me, it's too sweet. I think you have to be really careful with them. I haven't really looked at the ingredients yet. Um, Again, just be cautious. Anything new and that's saying, I'll give you the moon. Here's this supplement, and it's like too good to be true. Just be careful. I'm not saying it's not good. It's just I haven't studied it. And anything that comes out that says, "Oh, this is good," just like Fairlife milk. Is that good? It's high protein. You turn it over. It has a man-made vitamin A supplement in there called palmitate. And as I did the research on that, palmitate is put in cosmetics and it can lead to breaking out, lots of breaking out on the skin, eczema. So just be careful. Even though vitamin A looks good, it's a man-made product. So in that sense, it's not good. So I will dive into that. If you're at the conference, stop by my table and I'll have some information on that for you.
Thank you, Marla. And if you have other questions, Marla's contact information is here. And thank you everybody for joining today. And thank you, Marla,
Yes,
in
thank
particular.
you.
We
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And I hope to see you at the conference in
Yes.
person.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Enjoy the nice weather.
Yes, thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.